Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Sunday morning, post massive win for the Florida State Seminoles heading on the road to Clemson. The fellas got their rewatch in this morning. Going to give you guys some of our takeaways from that Florida State win. Now, before we get into that, I think my biggest takeaway, Dill, is that we've talked about this all year with this Florida State team. In the offseason, after they beat LSU, this team's special. It feels special. Like the culture that Mike Norvell has implemented in this program, the veteran leadership that could have gone to the NFL draft and coming back. This is a game that, like, Florida State did not play their best football, but was able to make the plays to make it happen on the road. And that is kind of what the bones of a national championship team is. Now, I think there are still things that Florida State needs to clean up if they do want to go out and win a national title. We'll talk about those. But for Florida State fans, I mean, I think you just went on the road, beat a Clemson team that has kind of dominated the ACC in recent years. I think is a legit top 15 team in the country. Don't really care what their record says. And they played some really good football, the Clemson Tigers. This is a really impressive win for Florida State. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Florida State fans. This has been a team that y'all know I have loved to talk about. I was really high on them heading into the season. The support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. But more importantly, and again, the best part about doing this, learning from you guys, talking ball with you guys in the comment section, or if it's just a goal nose. And I love that. You guys are awesome with all the support. So let us know in the comment section how you guys are feeling about the win. Dill, going to kick this one off to you. Big takeaways from Florida State beating Clemson on the road yesterday.
I mean, it just kind of what you mentioned. This is just a team that, and I think it starts from the top down with Jordan Travis, a team that
100%.
just, when they need to make plays, they make winning plays. And that's a hard thing, it feels like, for a lot of college football teams to do. It's like you look at that drive when they're down 10-0 in the second quarter and they need a drive. And Jordan Travis banged up, goes and gets a 4th and 1 with his legs in a play that really wasn't an easy play. I mean, he had to drive through a tackle and he just goes and makes it. And then they go down and score. And that's the type of thing that you need to do to win. And that's what Florida State, frankly, has been doing all year in 2 very difficult games with LSU and Florida.
That's and again, going back to it, it seems like Florida State didn't, and we'll talk about that a little later. I want to start with the good, but it never really seemed like Florida State found a rhythm on offense a ton. That being said, they were able to hit those explosive plays. And on my note sheet, the biggest takeaway in the good section on the offensive side of the ball is the explosive plays. And you're seeing this offense identify who their playmakers are. And hey, we're going to go to them. And as much as it was tough sledding on the ground, that Clemson front seven might be the best in the country. They were able to go look at their 2 playmakers in Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman and say, hey, we got to have you guys go make some plays. Big time players make big time plays. And both of those guys made some massive plays for Florida State that kind of led to winning this football game.
And they're big dogs play big dog football when they need to. I mean,
that's what
Keon
you need.
Coleman in that overtime period, Keon Coleman, basically that whole LSU game, like when they need him to make a play, he goes up and does it. And again, I think this team around it, I think is good enough. I think this offensive
100%.
line is very much coming together, and frankly, in a very banged up spot against it. Again, what you mentioned, it probably is the best front seven in college football, or right up there with anyone. And they went and hung tough in that game with a couple of new faces. And again, did they dominate up front? Definitely not. But they didn't get pushed around to the point where they couldn't win. I
don't know if there's an offensive line that is going to be dominating Clemson all year. It's just they're that good up front. That whole front seven is going to be top 100 picks in the NFL draft. I mean, Tyler Davis, Rucco, Barrett Carter, Jeremiah Trotter. It is absolutely a loaded group, and I thought that offensive line held their own. And that's kind of all you can ask for from that Florida State team. Now, Dill, one interesting thing, and I would love to hear Mike Norvell, and I listened to the press conference, they didn't talk about it, from a snap count distribution. I mean, Florida State was in 12 personnel pretty much all game. So, yeah, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson both played 50-plus snaps, pretty much didn't leave the field. Dill, the next wide receiver's snap count was Destin Hill with 10 snaps. I mean, they were pretty much exclusively Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, 2 tight end sets, and a running back. And my biggest concern, I would say, is that this Florida State team yesterday struggled to find a rhythm, especially in that run game. You see it, only 22 rushing yards. They only ran the ball with their running backs 12 times for about a 3-yard average. And I think that says a little bit more about Clemson than this Florida State team. I think this Florida State team will be able to run the ball. Like, I think the offensive line is solid. It's not elite, but it's solid. Trey Benson, probably one of the best running backs in the country. But if Florida State does want to win a national title, which that is their goal. I mean, after you go on the road and beat Clemson, you beat LSU on a neutral site, national title. This is a team that can win a national title. If you want to do that, you want to see a little bit more rhythm. You want to see a little bit kind of staying ahead of schedule, a lot of third and longs that they kind of forced themselves in. Not a team against Clemson you want to be in third and long against. There was one thing I'd like to see get better. It is staying on rhythm, staying on schedule, and maybe being able to establish a run a little bit more than they did.
And that, to me, frankly, you playing a team like that where you know it's just going to be tough sledding in the middle.
Yes.
I almost like how they did use Trey Benson in the pass game. It's like when they were able to get him any open space, he's so good. I almost think people like way sleep on him, but obviously was catching balls.
Not if you've been listening to Rock Boys. We've been banging the table as Trey Benson being maybe the best back in the country.
They could feed him more into the flat or get him out again, just like kind of that extension of the run game. Because again, I don't think this offensive line is the type of offensive line that is gonna, against a really good front seven, go give you 100 yards on the ground. That's just not really what they are yet, and maybe it'll be coming along. This team is bringing in a lot of talent, especially in the recruiting. But right now, I don't think that's them. And that, to me, it's Jordan Travis. He's really good. He makes good decisions, and he can get the ball out quickly and accurately. I do wonder if there's a way they can use Benson even more than they did. And he obviously got used a fair amount. He had a lot of receiving yards. But I would like to see him get the ball more in screens and other sort of, again, run game extensions.
Yeah, I get that's like probably that type of play, like the easy 5-6 yards on first down. You want to see a little bit more of, in my opinion. And as much as like the biggest positive was being able to hit the explosive plays, that doesn't mean that your efficiency numbers should drop so low in terms of like a lot of like 2nd and 10s, 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s, because they're not winning on 1st and 2nd down. And you're right. Like winning on 1st and 2nd down might look a little different. Instead of running the football into, again, the teeth of a front seven that's really, really good, swing pass, tosses, get Lawrence to affiliate some touches on the perimeter, different ways where you can stay on schedule a little bit more. Because again, when you're playing a team like Georgia, team like Alabama, some of those teams that you have to beat to win a national title, that you don't want to get yourself in 3rd and long too much.
They got the personnel, and they got Jordan Travis, who again, like if he can put teams in conflict with his legs. And I do think there was probably a bit of a concerted effort not to have him take punishment.
It was.
And it will be nice to get a bye week, get everyone healthy.
I was looking at that. You get a bye week, then you get Virginia Tech at home. Like maybe if he's not 100% after the bye week, maybe even like hopefully you come in, take care of it. I think that was the plan against BC. Obviously, they couldn't rest him. I think that you're looking to get Jordan Travis right for the kind of
and get him into the run game, because he's a big part of the run game when he's fully healthy.
And he'll help you run the football as well. I agree with that. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, I'll say this. Garrett Riley was calling the plays. I think we had some question marks about if that was Garrett Riley's offense against Duke. And this Clemson offense looked good. Like it played really good. K. Klubnik made some really good passes. I think my biggest takeaway on the defensive side of the ball is that depth on the defensive line is really good. Guys like Josh Farmer, obviously Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. I mean, they were getting after in the pass rush. You obviously had Kalen DeLoach kind of spring a game-changing play. Talk about plays that win you football games. A blitz, scoop, and score, that's going to win you a football game. Dale, biggest takeaways from the defensive side of the ball for the Noles here?
I mean, this front seven, and especially like we knew this edge class or edge group would be really good, led by Jared.
I want to see more Gilbert Edmond.
These guys in the middle are hammers. I think Harmer, love it. Like these guys are all really, really good against the Clemson team that typically, I mean, they've been running the ball well so far this year. Aside from the one long run to Phil Maffa, they held this team to only 3.6 average on the ground per carry. That's a really strong performance. I just can't say enough. I think these guys in the middle are just wildly underrated in a sense because Jared Verse is so good and he gets so much of the attention.
And you saw for like the second big game in a row, Florida State make some excellent halftime adjustments. Clemson really strong. I mean, I think they went 3.7 yards per play in the fourth quarter after averaging over 6 the first half. Yes, you want to see, because it's not the first time, right? LSU got them early. on the offensive side of the ball. Clemson did the same. You obviously want to come in with a game plan that's going to work, but it's showing that you have the ability to go into the locker room at halftime, kind of fix some things and come out and have a dominant defense in the second half is a good sign. And I think the biggest storyline or kind of the biggest difference I knew is they were just getting a little bit more aggressive. And I think you're seeing Mike Norvell and this defensive staff look at this defense, say, hey, where are our playmakers? Our playmakers are in the front seven. Like guys like Jared Verse, Patrick Payton, Fisk, Fabian Lovett, the guys you mentioned, go let them get after it. And when they started playing a little bit more of an aggressive brand, a little bit more of a smothering brand of defense, that is the best Florida State defense. And I think you saw that in the second half, and I'd like to see them start with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think because I also don't I think the secondary is solid, but I don't love it when they give teams a lot of time because that
Agreed.
that's like when they start getting picked apart a little bit is when quarterbacks have time and they have the personnel again, like you mentioned, to kind of not give teams a lot of time and I do think that's gonna be a part of what they do is play a far more aggressive brand of defense and let their front seven kind of try
it takes a little pressure off the secondary when you can get it. I mean, Josh Farmer, 27% pass rush win rate yesterday. I mean, that dude was unblockable on the inside yesterday. Again, Fisk, love it. They both played good. One takeaway that I had that I would like to just see a little less of is, I mean, they dropped Jared Verse in coverage and used him as a spy a couple times. Jared Verse is the best pass rusher in college football. Use him. Like, you use him as a pass rusher. I mean, as much as I know he can be an athlete in space and he's probably athletic enough to be a spy and playing coverage, I know he can. That's probably not his best use. Like, and if it's third and long, you want him turning it up and getting after the passer. It felt like in the first half, a lot of their scheme was, we're not necessarily going to try to get after Cade Klubnik. We're going to try to kind of squeeze him in that pocket, not let him extend plays. In the second half, they said, hey guys, go pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. And again,
I kind of get that to an extent because he is a good athlete, and when you let him break the pocket and run, he can move.
Dangerous.
I think, frankly, Florida State's linebackers are athletic enough to not be so worried about that because you saw, I mean, Kalen DeLoach, I think he's played as well as he's played, and it wasn't just a sack, fumble, touchdown. I mean, he was chasing down running backs, he was chasing down Klubnik, he was making a lot of plays in coverage. He played awesome, and Bethune's been playing awesome all year. So I don't think Florida State necessarily needs to be so worried about, again, staying in rush lanes and so forth. Like, it should be pin your ears back, go be disruptive, and we'll rely on our linebackers to go make plays in space because they've been doing that all year, at least from what I've seen.
Dill, this AP poll that's going to come out in a couple hours, where's Florida State coming in for? If you had an AP poll vote, where would it go?
I mean, at worst, 3. I think you could make an argument for them over Michigan. And
I wonder if you see some ones. I wonder. I mean, who's got a more impressive resume than Florida State right now? I mean, beating LSU on a neutral site, going on the road. I mean, the AP poll does not respect Clemson. They weren't ranked for this game, which is, in my opinion, a joke. That being said, you look across the country. I don't know if anybody has it, and it does not matter. Let's just straight up. I'm just saying that you take a look at teams and who's been most impressive. Like, our Michigan Wolverines haven't exactly lit the world on fire. Georgia hasn't really looked dominant. Texas was kicking around with Wyoming last week. I mean, you look across the landscape, and I think this is what's most exciting for Florida State is this is kind of feels like the year. And as a Michigan fan, we're saying it's our year too, and we hope that. That being said, like Georgia, like they're banged up. They do not look like the juggernaut that we've seen the last 2 years. Bama, I don't know what's going on with Alabama, but that does not seem like a great situation. Texas looks solid, but still, it's a gettable national title picture this year. And I think Florida State is right in the thick of things again. Looking forward to kind of seeing this team come off the bye week, get healthy. Again, this felt like a game that last year with the lack of depth Florida State had, they lose these games. They went on that 3-game skid. That depth kind of played a massive role in this win. Florida State continues to roll on. Florida State fans, again, appreciate all the support you guys have shown the boys. If you do enjoy the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.